Hi, hello, good evening everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we have one interesting topic to learn. Uh, do you ever think that why the birds do not get shocked when they lie on power lines? Do you ever think that why the humans do get the shock when they do the same? It is very interesting to know. Though it is very general to understand, but it is very interesting to know. And today we will have what are the reasons behind this? Why the humans do get the shock when they on power lines, and why the birds do not get the shock when they're on the power lines. Let's have a look.
A few moments later.
Well, if you look at this diagram, I just have drawn the diagram that how exactly looks the situation when the birds and human are lying on the power lines. So to save the time, I have drawn off the line and I am trying to show you. If you carefully observe this diagram, so I am going to explain the situation in 3 cases, in fact 4 cases. So I have not drawn the 4 case here, I will tell you orally. Right? Today's date is 3rd July 2024 and I have taken 2 poles, maybe wooden or steel, right? Or concrete also maybe. So let us assume the 3-phase transmission lines. Basically the transmission lines are of 3-phase type, maybe in star connection or delta connection. So that is the reason, but 90% transmission lines will have a delta connection. So therefore I have taken 3 lines. Now I have taken 2 poles, pole 1 and pole 2. I am assuming 3-phase lines between these 2 poles, and this is a ground clearance, right? Now the question here is, we are talking about the simple concept and important concept that why the birds do not get shocked when they stand on the or lie on the power lines, whereas why the humans do get the shock when they do the same thing. Now I am going to explain about the birds cases in 2 cases, case 1 and case 2. So before this, we should understand carefully that what is the nature of the electric current and what is exactly the meaning of shock. The electric shock is nothing but what? The passing of electrons through our body is nothing but electrical shock. And at what situation? At what situation the electric current will try to flow through our body depends upon the creation of the closed path, right? Basically, whenever you try to put the plug into the socket, the elders always say us that please wear the chappal, or please wear some shoes or some chappals. The reason, because it is rubber and it is nothing but an insulator. So basically the nature of the electric current, what is electric current means? The flow of electrons. We should clearly understand that to flow the electrons, what are the facilities that we have to provide? Electrons always flow from high potential to low potential. Electrons always flow from high potential to low potential. And electrons always choose least resistance path to flow. Least resistance path to flow. As water flows from high head to low head, similarly, the current or the electrons also flow from high potential to low potential. That means there must be some potential difference between 2 lines or between 2 points to have a flow between these 2 points. That is from high potential point to low potential point. As like the water flows from high head to low head with a slant slope. And similarly, the electric current always ready to flow through the least resistance path. For example, you are passing the current from one point to another point. In the middle, if any point is grounded or any point is connected, for example, I can show here. So the current is flowing through this path. Now suddenly what happened? This line is grounded. So this is maybe point A, point B. This is a high voltage side and it is a low voltage side. That means it is high potential point and it is a low potential point. So the current always starts flowing from high potential point to low potential point. While it is doing so, assume that at one point of time in the middle, that is between A and B, the wire is connected to ground, either by yourself or forcefully or unwantedly. Then what happens? Maybe, for example, it is 10 volts. Maybe it is, for example, 8 volts, just assumption. But the ground is having 0 volts. Earth is having 0 volts potential. Earth is having 0 volts potential, and Earth can store infinite charge. Earth can store infinite energy. So therefore, let us mark this point as C. We are expecting the current to flow from point A to point B, but suddenly at point C, some part of the wire is grounded. So therefore, the current starts flowing from point A to point C, and now there is a decision making process by the current that it should go to ground or it should go to B. Now, as I told you very clearly, B point is at 8 volts potential, whereas ground is at 0 potential. That means current always choose to go from 10 volts to 0 volts rather than from 10 volts to 8 volts. The reason is it is having 0 volts and least resistance. So therefore, current starts diverting at this point C towards ground. Alright? Now what is happening when we are inserting a plug point into the socket? Suppose if there is any misconnection or wrong connection in the switchboard, and when we are trying to insert the plug into the switchboard or socket, if suddenly short circuit occurs, what happens? We are standing on the ground. Now when we hold that plug, the current is having two different conditions. One is to go through the ground, or one is to go through the other part of the electric switchboard. So therefore, since we are on the ground and ground is at 0 potential, current always choose to go through least resistance path. So the intention behind the flow of current through our body is not to go through our body. It should go to the ground. But the medium what we are providing to the ground is our body, right? So as we are creating it way to the ground, or we are creating a short circuit or closed path to the ground, the current starts flowing through our body to the ground, right? The intention of the current is to the ground, but not through our body, but we are acting as a medium. Now the question is, when the current is flowing through our body, why we are getting, sometimes it is very dangerous, and sometimes even it is risk to life also. Our body is having a lot of water and blood. Of course, blood is having 90% of the water. We also have blood pressure because our heart is pumping your blood to all the corners of your body. Whereas the electrons flow at a speed of velocity 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. And when the electrons are going to flow with that much amount of velocity through our body, and why our body is a good conductor of electricity? Because our body is having full of water. So what is a good conductor of electricity? So therefore, body is having a resistance of more or less 100 ohms, but still it can allow the current through our body because our body is full of water. So it is very natural that our body is also a good conductor of electricity, not as like copper, but still it is going to act as a conductor. So since our body is conductor, our electrons will flow through our body at a velocity of 3 into 10 to the power of 8 meters per second, which is nothing but the velocity of the light. So when with that much amount of velocity the electron starts flowing through our body, it disrupts your blood circulation. because of the vibration that the electrons are going to create in your body, automatically what happens, your nervous system will fail, and within no time all the cells will die and your body gets degenerated, and sometimes even immediately you may lose your life also, right? So it is very natural that our body is a good conductor, and whenever there is a possibility of short circuit, we allow the current through our body. So it is very natural to understand that why the human gets shocked. We also get shocked. Does it mean birds don't get the shock? No, birds also get shocked. But the question here is, there is an ambiguity. When we are hanging on the power lines, humans are getting shocked. But when the birds are standing on the power lines, they are not getting shocked. The reason is explained here. As just now I told, the current starts flowing from high potential to low potential. That means if you want to have the flow of current or flow of electrons or charge, the 2 points must have a difference in potentials. Look at the case 1. Birds standing on the power lines with the case 1. What is case 1 here? There are 3 lines between 2 poles, but the bird is standing only on the first line. The bird is having conduction, contact with only the first line. Both the feet of the bird are on the same line, and the voltage at all this at each and every point of this line is same. Voltage at each line of this point is, each point of this line is same. So therefore, the voltage difference between these 2 connecting points, where the birds are actually laying on the power lines, that is feet 1 and feet 2, the voltage difference between these 2 points is 0. So there is no voltage difference. Therefore, the current cannot pass like this. First reason. What is the first reason? If the birds are standing on if the birds are lying on the same line, that is the feet is not just like 2 feet are nothing but in series connection. The way of standing on the power lines. Then the birds will not get any shock. The reason is the potential difference between these 2 connecting points is 0. Number 1 point. That is the first reason why the birds do not allow the current through their bodies. Right? I'll tell you the second reason later. Go to case 2. What is case 2? Instead of birds standing on only single line, if 1 feet is on the first line and the second feet is on the second line, then the birds also immediately get shocked, and very faster than humans they die. The reason is the potential difference between the first line and second line is not 0. Both of these lines are at different voltages. Why? Because even though we are always saying that we have a balanced load and balanced power supply, it never occurs in real-time applications. Always, in 3-phase lines, each line is definitely having a different voltage levels compared to the other neighborhood lines. So these 2 lines cannot be at same potential. Even a minute difference of voltage also, since it is a high voltage transmission line, a minute difference voltage also can change a big difference in the flow of current. So therefore, since these 2 are at different level of voltages, when the bird is trying to keep their 2 feet on different lines, then birds will get shock immediately. But most of the times, whatever we see on the outside when we are going or traveling, or when we are looking at the transmission lines, birds always stand like this in the series connection. They never try to keep their feet on different lines, because they also know. But sometimes what happens when the lines are very near, when the distance between the 2 neighborhood lines is very small, they cannot manage it. Sometimes what happens, even their tail or even that leaves, feathers may touch the other line, and sometimes they may get shock and they die also. So it is actually with inevitable condition. But generally they do not stand like this because they are very intelligent. So therefore, the birds will not get shock here, but birds will get shock here. Now the question is coming to the human body. Human body. If you take an example of human body, always we have seen many cases that some people standing on the train and holding the high power cables, they immediately get shock and immediately they burn their bodies. What is the reason? The reason, even you may ask a question, the human is also holding the power lines as like your body is doing, but still human gets shock in that situation. What I just now told about the train, you are standing in the train but you are keeping two lines like this on one single power line, but still you get shock and sometimes you may lose your life also. The reason is you are standing on the, you are resting on the train is resting on the track is on the earth. You are resting on the train, it is iron, train is on the track is iron, wheels also iron, and the track is resting on the earth. That means you are directly creating a path to the earth. Therefore, even if you hold the power lines as like the birds lying on the power line, still you get shocked immediately and you may lose your life also. Then there is a question. Instead of standing on the train, instead of standing in the train and holding the power lines, if I stand or if I hanging in the air like this, like what I have drawn, it is a shock or not? Shock. It is very unfair fate to us. Still humans get shocked. The reason is, even though you hang like this, holding the power line, single common power line without touching the other line also, you get shocked. The reason is, as I told you, here one reason is like this. The second reason is capacitance plays a major important role here. Capacitor, that is capacitance effect, also will play a major important role. Now, how it is going to affect the case here? Actually, capacitor or capacitance is the ability to store the charge or energy. If you compare the human body and bird's body, birds are having very less size, small size bodies, and whereas human bodies are, of course, we are having a large body. Okay, they are not small like birds. And the capacitance value depends upon the size of the body. It may be of anything, maybe human or bird. The capacitance or the capacitance value depends upon the size of the body. That means birds are having less capacitance and humans are having more capacitance. When there is a more capacitance, that means there is a much possibility of storing the charge and conveying the charge. That means since our body is having more capacitance, even though you hold the power line, single power lines without touching the neighborhood line, still you get shocked because of the higher capacitance. Even you have a minimum clearance with the ground. What is the reason? Our birds are having more capacitance than human body, obviously. Birds are having more resistance than human body and less capacitance compared to human body. Because of these two conditions, since it's a high power line, a small amount of difference of voltage also can cause a small amount of current. Even suppose if the wires are carrying almost 100 amperes current, let us say, even even a small current, maybe 1 to 2 amperes current, with this small amount of voltage, even in regular conditions, that current will not affect the bodies. But whereas with this high voltage line, because the power capacity is more, you may think that the current value is less, but the power capacity of the line is more. So with this power capacity line, a small amount of current also can cause a disturbance in our body. Sometimes even it may cause the death also. So this is how we can elaborate the situation and explain that why the birds do not get shocked, and even the birds also when they get shocked, and why the humans do get the shock if they do the same thing as birds do. So I hope that you understood very well, and if not, please pardon me and excuse me. I think most of you might be knowing about this, but still uh, I'm explaining this, that if anyone else doesn't know, and if anyone else even knowing that, or if you want to know more about it, they can please watch this video. Please don't skip the video. Please watch the video till the end and understand the concept. If you like the video, please like, share and comment, and please watch the videos in our YouTube channel. Share to your known contacts and please request them to subscribe. If you are not subscribed till my YouTube channel till date, please try to subscribe and click on the bell icon so that you will not miss the notifications as and when I upload the videos. So please watch the video till the end. Support the channel. Thank you. Thank you one and all. Good night. Shubharatri.